I will redeem all this on Percy's head. And in the closing of some glorious day, be bold to tell you that I am your son.
Like Shakespeare's other historical plays, Henry IV, Parts 1 and 2 are fairly fact-heavy. This may be one of the reasons the works are rarely staged.
I think people feel like you need to be a history major to actually get something out of the plays, when in fact they're ultimately at the core about some very fundamental human drives, about the need for power and recognition and status.
There's a mix of not only historical figures, but there's fictional. It's a mix of family politics and national politics. There's drama, there's action, and then there's comedy. It has so much of everything that I don't think Shakespeare ever really did that in any other of his plays in the same way.
The desire to expose audiences to the lesser-known works of the Bard is what drove founder Skye Brandon to create the Shakespeare Lab.
And Bagot has gone to meet the king, who lately landed with some few private friends upon this coast.
The group has also staged Richard II, and their first production was Cymbeline, an experience that proved to Brandon that there was both an appetite for these productions and a way to make them happen.
We don't have to wait around to have big casts and big budgets to put on the play. We can find other ways of putting on these stories. Having the benefit of working at Shakespeare on the Saskatchewan a few times, I do know that there are patrons who always send in their surveys every year and say they would like to see some of these other plays that they don't usually get to do.
Thou that art like enough through vassal fear to fight against me under Percy's pay.
There's not a lot of emphasis on fancy sets. It's about the poetry and about the work of Shakespeare. And as actors, we get a chance to work in ways and on pieces that we don't normally get a chance to work on, which is why it's a great challenge and a great treat at the same time.
One of the biggest challenges this time around is the fact that they are staging two plays at once. Either play can be seen on its own, but Brandon says it will be a better experience if you see both. The company is making that easier with a pay-what-you-want initiative, which allows patrons to purchase a ticket for between $5 and $20.
To do Part 2, I just really feel Part 1 has to be there to set it up. You could just do Part 1, and it stands on its own quite well. But if you want the full sweep, then we might as well do it at one time.
And with this ambitious approach, it's two rare chances for audiences, even those that are highly familiar with the work of Shakespeare, to see his plays potentially without knowing how they will end.
I always love that moment of a gasp from an audience member when something happens and they didn't see it coming, or you see a penny drop. I think, oh, I see now. Where if you go to Hamlet, which people should go see, it's more about how are they going to put it on for the most part.
Henry IV Parts 1 and 2 play at the John Mitchell Building on campus through January 20th. In Saskatoon, I'm Simon Hyatt reporting.
And shake the peace and safety of our throne.